Hi everyone, welcome to the final step of the Natural Disaster Project. When you get to this final step of collaborating with colleagues, this means that to the best of your ability, you have finished your natural disaster Padlet or Prezi and then uploaded everything onto Padlet that is needed. So you should have completed your questions. You have added a picture to your answers, um, one for each question, and you, to your best of your ability, have added at least 3 MLA citations as a group. So if it's just you and you can't get in touch with your partner, just adding 1 or 2 MLA citations will be totally fine. So if you've done all of that and you are on your final step, the final step is collaborating with colleagues. So even though we are not able to be presenting in front of class, we still have a lot of different opportunities to collaborate as a group. So here's where you're going to find some of your instructions. So you are going to view a minimum of 3 different presentations on Padlet. Of course, you can do more. That's absolutely fine. And actually, I encourage you to look at everyone else's work. It's really interesting, all the different natural disasters you guys have been working on. So I really want you to pick at least 3, but of course, you can do more if you'd like. So with those 3 presentations that you're picking, you are going to write and post 3 pieces of collaborative feedback onto Padlet. And that's what this presentation is going to show you how to do. When you are giving your collaborative feedback, you are going to make it so that it is both positive and specific. And I will show you exactly what I mean in just a moment. So I'm going to hop over to our natural disasters and I'm going to show you where you're adding your collaborative feedback. So you'll notice that I've actually added a couple of things that were not visible before on Padlet. I'll probably make these changes midweek. So when you start working on your Padlets and Prezis and on this platform right here, that you don't get overwhelmed. But the 2 things that are different are this, which we've used before, the little like button, and also this right here, so adding comments. So this is where you're going to be putting your feedback. So if you're following my cursor right here, you can see that I'm just writing in feedback and I can press enter. And look, there's a comment right there. So I'm going to delete that one, but I just wanted to be able to show you that that is something that you can do. So when you are doing your feedback, you are going to pick 3 different presentations total. So the cool part about distance learning is that instead of just viewing your specific period that you're in, you have access to all of these. So you can pick any 3 presentations in the entire 7th grade, which is kind of cool. And I'm going to direct you over here where it says collaborate with colleagues, do's and don'ts. So over here for do's, you want it to be specific and you want it to be positive. In presentations before, we've done a lot of glows and grows. I don't want you guys to focus on the grows for this particular presentation. Grows are great. It kind of gives us some critical feedback about what we can do better. But for this particular project, I really just want to focus on the positives of the presentation. So please don't be critical of people's presentations, but I really want you to bring out the best in the presentations that you're looking at and just providing those positive feedbacks only. And I also want it to be very specific. So I gave a couple examples of what would qualify as specific and positive feedback. So my first example says, I really like how person 2 found information on the lava flow's temperature. I had no idea how hot lava was. So that one's really cool. It's specific because they're showing that somebody had answered a question that really was interesting to them. So they found out exactly from that volcano, that natural disaster, what the average temperature of the lava was. And if you find an interesting factoid that you really like, that could be a good example of something that you could put down for positive and specific feedback. Another example could be something like this. So student 1 and 2 did a really nice job of creating their Padlet. Their background and pictures were very pleasing to the eye and supported their chosen natural disaster. Lastly, questions were organized and explained thoroughly. Well done. So you can see this is only a couple of sentences, but these two positive and specific um, feedback examples really show that the person who looked through your presentation looked at it and they read the information. They paid attention to your pictures. They were really looking at it attentively, and they're giving very specific pieces of information about what they liked about your presentation. So even though these positive feedback written pieces aren't very long, you're going to find that it actually does take you quite some time to get this done. And that's just because I want you to be very thoughtful. So be thoughtful in what people are saying, how they're presenting it, and just in general, giving positive and specific feedback is not something that's very quick. Um, it should be something that, again, is thoughtful and making sure that you're proving to that person that you've actually looked at their work and you want to show them your favorite parts about what they've done. So some things to keep in mind for don'ts. So when you're collaborating with colleagues and giving feedback, that you don't want to give negative feedback in this particular assignment. So here's just a little reminder. The first one right here: do not give negative feedback. Just focus on the glows only. Um, Biggest one that might be a little tricky is don't be non-specific. So if you're tempted to give examples like, oh, good project, or nice pictures, that is positive feedback, but it's not specific. So if you're tempted to write feedback that looks like these examples right there, I really want you to um, stop and think about what makes it a good project. Like if you want to say that's a good project, that's fine, but what makes it a good project? Is it, did you really like how they answered question number 4? Was it well written and did it completely answer the question? Was there a good fact in it? Um, if you're tempted to say nice pictures for feedback, that's just the beginning. So that's positive feedback, but it's not specific. So again, you might say something like, okay, well, what makes it a nice pictures? You could say both partners 1 and 2 added all of their pictures per question, and all of their pictures were they related very well to what the question was asking. Um, they could have a really nice background picture that had presentation as well. So again, positive feedback is good, but you're taking that extra step and making sure that it's very specific. Lastly, this is the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is giving feedback to 3 different people. Now, like I said, you can pick any 3 presentations that you'd like to. That is totally up to you. However, I want everybody to get feedback. So, um, if you see a person has 3 pieces of feedback already, do not add a 4th piece of feedback, please. I really want to make sure that everybody has at least 3 pieces of positive and specific feedback per presentation, if not more. So for example, if I look at Breeza's and Stacy's, after I give some feedback, let's just say I've already looked at their presentation. I've figured out what I want to write for my positive and specific feedback, and I type it in here. I can click enter, and you can see that there's already 1 comment. If you see that there's 3 comments, please pick another one. Now, if every single person has 3, okay, cool. You can absolutely pick whoever you want at that point. But what I really want to do is try to get everybody's looked at by at least 3 different people. After you've given a piece of feedback, you could also give it a like. That would be a good way to just quickly be able to see who has had some positive feedback already given and who needs it. I just want to show you one little trick before I end this video, which is how to scroll down. Especially for me, I'm not using a mouse right now, and it gets kind of tricky because every time you click on something, it automatically goes to their presentation. So, for example, if I want to scroll down to see Luca's and Connor's, I might by accident click on Stacy's and Breeze's. Super easy to do that. So, what I found is that in between these, see how you can see the background if you follow where my cursor is, my mouse. So if you click in between there, so I'm not clicking on Stacy and Breeze's or Luca and Connor's, but I'm clicking on that space in between there, and then you press your down arrow. Now I can get to all of these things, and then you can kind of get to, there's a cursor that goes up and down as well. Now, if you are using a mouse, it's actually a lot easier. But if you're not, you might be getting kind of frustrated sometimes because it's taking you all over to different places. So just again, click in between and then use your arrows to go up and down. Okay, so if you have any problems or if you have any questions on how to give a specific and positive feedback, please let me know.